Hey everybody, Yankee here. As some of you might be aware, I'm a tiny little bit OCD and I can obsess over things. Surprise, surprise, looking around me in this room here. But last night, as I was signing off from my live chat, some Weisenheimer chimed in and basically said they're thinking of buying another Bond Arms Derringer Roughneck model. And they were curious if I thought they could be refinished to be made to look like a nicer Bond Arms Derringer. Because, the Roughnecks are kind of the less finished models that are a lot cheaper, but they're definitely less finished. Well, that was all it took for my compulsion to kick in because now I had to be able to answer this question and I had to see if I could do it. So I wanted to come on here right now and curse the name of the person who did it. I can't remember who asked the question, but if any of the rest of you know from last night's chat, rat them out. Let me know, because like I said, I want to curse their name. But right now, I want to go back to when I started this project, and I've been working on it now for quite a while. Spent a lot of time working on this gun. My hands, this is after I washed them to make this video. My shirt's filthy. But I want to go back to when I started and kind of take you with me on this journey to seeing if I can refinish my Bond Arms Derringer Roughneck to look like one of the nicer models. Here is the Bond Arms Roughneck as it comes. As you can see here, the finish is, as they say, rough. And that's how they can offer this gun so cheap. Since they're not spending nearly as much time finishing the gun, it takes a lot less time to make it and get it out the door, so therefore they can make the price tag quite a bit smaller. But can we take this one and make it look like a much nicer, more polished gun without having to spend the money by just doing it at home? Let's take this gun right now and go see. All right, I took off the barrel, which is just undoing this little screw right here. It's a little barrel screw you take out of there, and the barrel comes right off. Now I want to take off a few more things. Now you're probably going to have to bear with me a little bit here because I've never taken a Bond Arms Derringer apart before. So this is going to be an adventure for me. I can't imagine it's very hard. Of course, the hard part will probably be getting it back together. All right, this here is about as far as I should have to take it down, and I'm glad of that because I'm already afraid that I'm not going to be able to get it back together, and you guys are going to make fun of me and hurt my feelings. But we're going to soldier on here, and the next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of my synthetic steel wool and start rubbing the rough finish. And this is where you're going to start seeing how they saved money here, because it isn't just the finish isn't brushed up, the metal itself is a little rougher. You're going to start seeing little imperfections here, little machining lines. And on the back strap, you're just going to start seeing where it's just not perfectly rounded. It's got a little bit of a roughness to it there, and that's how they save the money. Now, at least in this case, they do pass the savings on to you. So we're just seeing now if we can, at no cost to ourselves, get this back up to what a gun would look like if they actually did that for us. First, I'm going to get all this brushed down, and then I'll take some high grit sandpaper and start finishing out those little rough spots. It really isn't as hard as it might sound. All right, first I'm just starting with some 220 grit paper, and I'm pretty vigorously sanding the back here. Now, this is when you'll start seeing the imperfections for real. Now, you can see I'm starting to smooth out those issues there, but you start to see really evident machining marks. This stuff is what they would normally take down in their finishing process, but with this gun, with the rough finish, they're not doing that. They're just leaving it a really matte finish because you can't see this stuff when the finish is matte, but the shinier it gets, the more evident they become. Now, this is where if you were brave, you could go over to your belt sander and just go beat, beat, and be done in no time. I am not that brave, so I'm going to do this by hand. Carpal tunnel, be damned. Once I get all of those imperfections out, I will go over it with some higher grit paper to give it a smoother finish, and then I will polish it. I always suggest find yourself a good movie and just start watching it, and just do this on autopilot, just checking every now and then to see how much you've taken off. It's really hard to overdo it, but you want to make sure that you don't do that. All right, I've just about got it sanded down to where I want it. To give you a time reference on this, this was almost the entire season 4 of Venture Brothers. I've actually rewatched it. I've already seen it, of course. But it's getting to where I've got most of the imperfections out. It's starting to look pretty smooth, especially here on the back strap. Now, at this point, I got to make a decision. Do I want to keep going and polish this down even smoother and make it a high polish, or do I want to do a brush polish? Because where it's at right now is pretty much good for a brush polish. But if I want it to be shined, I'm going to have to smooth it out a little bit more, and that's more work, and my fingers are killing me. So I'm probably going to do a brushed finish. I've already actually started on the brush finish here just to give it a little test to see how it looks. And I actually really like that soft matte brushed finish. So I think I'm just going to go a little bit more on the gun and then put this finish on it and see how it looks. I did decide it would be a little easier to brush it up if I took the crossbolt safety out of it. And I think this is how you take it out. So I'm going to see here if this is how you take it out. Well, I don't know if that's going to get it out or not, but I will keep working with it till I figure it out. It can't be that hard. It's a Derringer, for God's sake. There it came out. Just had to wiggle it a little bit, and that will make it much easier to brush these areas right here. All right, one thing I'm going to do here is there is some unlevelness in this back strap here, and it would take me forever to sand it off, so I'm going to get a file and take that down a little bit. All right, just slowly and carefully making sure to draw it away from the body of the gun, because I don't want to get here in this corner and gouge a crease. So I'm making sure to not get too far in. All right, I'm just about done with the frame now. As you can see, I've taken down most of the imperfections. On the back strap, I've got it pretty flat. I'm working on the underside of the gun now, the front of the grip and the back of the trigger guard. Just got a little bit more to do there. If you look at these areas right here on the side where they were really unlevel, they're now flush and level. Hopefully you can see that. So now I just got to start doing the brushing after I take out just a little bit more of the imperfections. And then I'll get started on the barrel. But that's going to have to wait till tomorrow, because I am cursing the person who put this idea in my head, because my fingers have been worked to the bone. I can't feel my fingertips. They've gone numb, which is preferable to how much they were hurting while I was sanding. They were raw, because I've been doing this all by hand with little tiny bits of sandpaper, getting all messy in my living room. Mostly after everybody else goes to bed, but you know, I have worked on something while we were watching TV. But like I said, it's going to have to wait and be finished up tomorrow. So look for a part 2 of this video where you'll get to see me finish off the barrel and then put everything, well, hopefully, put everything back together.